All right, so the flexibility of FlexFuse items is key, and it's a nice thing. It goes hand in hand with MeshFusion, which can accommodate any changes that you make to the form of the FlexFuse items. But sometimes when you're building up, especially when you're building up complexity on a fusion model with a lot of simple, relatively simple forms, you don't necessarily need or want to maintain that editability, that flexibility of the FlexFuse items. You want to just convert them to simple meshes. It keeps things simpler in your item list here and just easier to deal with on a couple of levels. So, for example, and this is a place where another one of our duplicate and freeze options comes into play, I can take this chamfered box here and use the Fuse Frozen Duplicate option. And what that does is makes a copy, a frozen copy of our FlexFuse item, and replaces the current Fusion source mesh, which is a true FlexFuse item, with that frozen copy. So let's just do that. So you can see our Fusion item really hasn't changed. It's just that the source mesh there is now a frozen duplicate, and the original FlexFuse item is available for further use. For example, you just move it down here and let's say shorten its length a bit and go to vertex mode on its frame and do a little scaling. And then I could, for example, take that item and do a little shift click to select another Fusion source mesh and apply primary. So now we've got another copy, and then I could repeat the process. I could say Fuse Frozen Duplicate, go to the Move tool, move away our now freed up, so to speak, FlexFuse item, do the same thing in vertex mode on its frame, expand that outward like that, and add that to the Fusion item. So you see, you can start to just sort of iterate a form, make slight variations on it if you like, and drop those into your Fusion item. Now these two are just simple meshes now. They're not FlexFuse items, so of course you're limited. You can't edit them with all the freedom that you have and flexibility that you have with a FlexFuse item. But like I say, in many cases, that's just what you want, sort of keep things simple as you move along and add complexity to your Fusion model. And there's another option that kind of allows us to flip that procedure around, if you will. So let's say we wanted to keep this as a FlexFuse item so that we can continue to tweak its form, but we had need for another non-Fusion duplicate of it that we wanted to use somewhere in the Fusion model or maybe even in a different Fusion model. So in that case, we select our FlexFuse item, and this time we're going to use non-Fusion frozen dupe. And what that does is create just a simple, again, non-procedural copy of our FlexFusion item, and you're free to do with that whatever you would like. Again, keeping in mind that it is not a FlexFuse item anymore. It's just a simple mesh, but again, perhaps that's exactly what you want in some situations.